I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Harry Litman of the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Talking Feds podcast. There have been a lot of takes, Harry Litman, on that $364 million verdict handed down by Justice Arthur Engoron. You and I were talking before we did this hot take that yes, that number is very, very high. Also, there's some prejudgment interest that could take it above 400 million, but the number may actually be the least of Donald Trump's problems. There may be other things in here that are not getting the coverage that are actually far more devastating to Donald Trump than even a $400 million verdict. I know you've been writing an op-ed about this, Harry. You've been thinking about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you might be right, Ben. And first, as you say, prejudgment interest, et cetera, the number shoots up. And probably when you combine it with E. Jean Carroll, and he may be at really past the limit of his liquidity. We'll see. That's going to really, really hurt. But yeah, if I can do a little journalistic conceit, I had the ABC of the opinion assets. A lot of them, maybe threatening his empire. But second, brand. So this is the Trump brand that he's spent a lifetime assembling, and his whole sort of posture and braggadocio is really laid low. I just don't think people are going to be flocking to Trump hotels and bragging to their relatives in the same way that, oh, look, I stayed in the former president's hotel. And this, I shy away from psychoanalyzing the 45th president of the United States, but others don't. And there's a way of thinking about his life that he gets this from his dad and everything is about brand for him. And man, this brand in New York, where he used to boast he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, has been really left in tatters. But then finally, control, man, oh man. So Engoron already had, remember, Judge Barbara Jones, former SDNY judge, on the case, making sure that they didn't do any funny business with trying to get rid of assets and transfer them here. They are now sort of putatively the property of the people of New York. Well, he appoints, does Engoron, at the end of his opinion, a whole nother independent compliance monitor. And basically, Trump, king of the universe, is going to have to get permission to write a check. And he is really, completely constrained like a little child, which, stands to reason since he's acted like quite the bad boy and the fraudster. So, I think for a guy like him, and the sort of, high flying, do whatever he wants, break all the rules, that complete, he's in handcuffs now and has to say pretty please to the babysitter to do kind of any financial transaction. That day to day, hour to hour has to chafe like nothing else.
What was so interesting about this ruling, 90 plus pages, it was almost two rulings in one, the first movie and then you got the sequel. So the first movie was the New York Attorney General's civil fraud case. There was the investigative stage that then led to the filing under the New York executive law. There was a trial, but what people weren't paying attention, I know you and I were telling people, you should be focused on what this independent monitor is doing.
Listen to us.
Take a look at what independent monitor federal retired Judge Barbara Jones is doing there, because I really think what was the reason for that delay. Sure, I think it had something to do with Weisselberg, but what we were calling was, it seemed like it was that Barbara Jones letter, which added kind of a whole nother case into it, that for the past 14 months, Judge Barbara Jones pointed out that Trump was still engaging in the inconsistent, incomplete, and erroneous financial statements, that Donald Trump was his whole move, because the case was you filed false statement of financial conditions. He stopped filing statement of financial conditions into SFCs. He just called it material assets and liabilities, just changed the whole thing. And the judge is like, you can't do that. That's not what your loan covenants say.
For sure. And speaking of loan covenants, if he can't come up with, a mere, by his own almost certainly inflated estimate, his cash on hand is maybe 400. If he can't come up with that, though, he has to somehow, like a criminal defendant on bond, try to go to a bank, liquidate stuff, put up assets and the like. And, how much will a sober, business-oriented bank value the assets of this guy who's, A, maybe losing them, B, maybe going to jail and in different ways. So, it's very possible to me that some of his prestige holdings, we're told, I haven't followed it, that he's already been trying to get rid of certain apartments and the like. But, 40 Wall Street and the Bedminster golf prop and, may soon be on the block, because that's the only way he'd be able to raise the money. And yet can't do the fire sale on them because what we were just talking about, those are putatively belong to the people of New York. And so he can't, he's got to say pretty please. And they may say, no, Donald, you may not. Not words he's used to hearing. So this really, short of, going in the pokey, which he may be looking at even in this trial coming up next month, this is such a come down, such a humiliation, not, more than just writing a big check. He's not a big shot, certainly not in the Empire State. He's got to, ask special permission pretty much to do anything. And the Trump brand, it's like default junk bonds. He's just way underwater.
I'd encourage everybody also to read the full 90+ page opinion. And I know that may be dense to do, but I think it's important when you read the whole thing, because Justice Engoron goes in painstaking detail through all of the testimony, all of the facts, what the statement of financial conditions say, what did Donald Trump testify to? Like, how about this fact, Harry Littman, that Don Jr. didn't even realize that the Trump organization no longer had a chief financial officer. Right, think about that. For people who are like, we're powerful, rich business people, you don't even know that your company didn't have a CFO?
Right. I mean, he comes off as really like a vacant little playboy. But I do, you can skim some of the financial stuff quickly, but get to the end, because that's where Engoron just savages Trump. Says he got on the stand and made stream of consciousness incoherent stuff. Basically said, and this is part of the reason that he socks him so hard, that he is totally unrepentant, totally the same old. He compares him unfavorably. How bad is this? Compares him unfavorably with Bernie Madoff, who at least when he's caught, it gets up there, says, I'm really sorry, and all my victims, etc. Trump, in the circle of hell of New York law, is, a circle or two below Bernie Madoff. So, he's not flying high anymore.
The one final point I want up in this hot take, and you and I will do some other deep dives as well, is part of the order precludes Donald Trump from applying for loans from any financial institution chartered by or registered with the New York Department of Financial Services for a period of 3 years. And I dare say most banking institution and lenders probably have some sort of licensure with the New York State. So that right there, too, is killer, don't you think?
I do. And it's a similar idea, Ben. I mean, why can't he do that? Because in order to get loans, you put things, you put up collateral and the like. That collateral ain't his anymore. That collateral, we'll see what happens on appeal, but belongs presumptively now to the people of New York. So he can't encumber them in that way. He really does in New York. I mean, one of the things that Jones revealed is that the Trump organization comprises 450 different entities, and they're all part of a trust in Florida. but this is really drawn up very carefully, so he can't take that whole corpus in New York, mess around with it, alienate it, send it down to Florida. Maybe he can write a check in Florida, but not off of any of these assets in New York. So in the same way, that's just not, it's not his to do with as he wants anymore. And, you know, he's had 79 years of doing what he wants with, you know, even stuff that isn't his. He is really laid low. And you could see it right after, you know, the way he glowered and came out and called it all, you know, a liberal, just, you know, he continued. Yeah, not a very smart legal strategy. He trashed Engoron all the way through, and he trashes him today. And, you know, Engoron, by the way, he could have gone a little higher. I think he's got his eye on the appeal somewhat. And judges will also, judges protect judges who parties are slapping around. And when he continues to trash talk Engoron, the appellate judges in the appellate division are going to look to be protecting and looking out for Engoron, because they are now, in a sense, his advocates, because his judgment goes up to them.
And there you have it, everybody. Make sure that you subscribe to the Talking Feds YouTube channel. Just search Talking Feds. They're on their way to 250,000 subscribers, partnered with the MeidasTouch Network. Really, really, really great legal analysis there. I couldn't recommend it enough. Make sure you check it out and subscribe here as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.